Hey guys, welcome back to Databank Enemy Creatures Part 2. I am going to start reading from the Xianzhou Luofu. The first character in there is the Mara-struck soldier. Weaknesses are fire, ice, and quantum, and their resistance to wind. Soldiers of the Xianzhou who somehow fell into madness. Their bodies continue to grow and mutate and have long lost their humanoid form. It is said that the long-lived Xianzhou natives would eventually be stricken with Mara. Disciples of Sanctus Medicus, internal alchemist. Weaknesses physical and imaginary, resistant to lightning. A member of the disciples of Sanctus Medicus, the secret sect that hid within the Xianzhou Luofu. With medicine, purify the heart. With elixir, transform one's body. They long to revive the ancient mysteries of abundance, hoping to spur Xianzhou natives towards their next stage of evolution. Shapeshifter. Weaknesses: ice, wind, and imaginary, and resistant to lightning. A cultivator who longs to revive the ancient mysteries of abundance and to guide the Xianzhou natives back in the liberating path of immortality. Now their wish has been fulfilled, gifted by the power of the ancient miracle and using it as both weapon and armor. They managed to touch on the secrets of immortality. Abundant Eben Deer. Weaknesses are fire, ice, and quantum. Resistant to lightning, wind, frozen, and imprisonment. An auspicious spiritual beast wrought into being by the ambrosial arbor and protects its roots. Its arrival brings along exuberant vegetation and promises good fortune. Once destroyed during ancient wars, the ambrosial arbor is mended by the Stellaron and finally revives. Rare creatures and legendary beasts made by celestials of the past all return to this world like an old dream coming alive again. Entranced Ingenium, obedient Draculian. Weaknesses are wind and imaginary. An ingenium casually made by craftsmasters of the Artisan Commission. It was originally an inanimate alarm bell used for warnings, but now it has been given a short life due to certain mutations. Short-lived life, sorry. As you can see, the bottom part is still the bell, and the top part is supposed to be where the string is attached to it. Entranced Ingenium, golden cloud toad. Weaknesses are lightning and quantum. An ingenium casually made by craftsmasters of the Artisanship Commission. It was originally an inanimate burner used for purifying the air, but now it has been given a short-lived life due to certain mutations. You can also see the incense burner at the top. And the bottom part is where it would sit on, like stand on the table. Entranced Ingenium, illumination dragonfish. Weaknesses are physical, lightning, and imaginary. An ingenium casually made by craftsmasters of the Artisanship Commission. It was originally an inanimate illuminator used for casting light upon darkness, but now it has been given a short-lived life due to certain mutations. Looks a lot like a lantern. Automaton Gatekeeper. Weaknesses are lightning, wind, and quantum, and they are resistant to imaginary. Kerosene Automaton, created with an ancient ingenium technology. Countless years ago, the automatons set sail with the Xianzhou to seek divine recipes of immortality and were tasked to oversee humanity and to aid humankind during warfare. However, after countless rebellions, they were finally overpowered by the Xianzhou natives. Now, all automatons are strictly controlled with talismans and are employed to guard important places. Cloud Knight's Patroller. Weaknesses are fire, wind, and imaginary. Member of the Ground Patrol Division of the Xianzhou Luofu Cloud Knights, wearing a light set of silver armor and with a Devastator glaive in hand. They are in charge of maintaining order in every delve. Abundant Sprite Golden Hound. Weakness: ice, lightning, and quantum. A gilded hunting hound that moves with grace and speed. When the ambrosial arbor still stood, the Xianzhou people bred many fantastic creatures with esoteric techniques. Golden hounds were one of the war beasts that walked alongside the army. Abundant-sprite wooden lupus. A wolf surrounded with haze, its movement is elusive and unexpected. And then the same thing where they were breeding these kind of creatures. Weaknesses are fire, wind, and imaginary. Abundant-sprite malefic ape. Weaknesses are fire, ice, and wind. An ape as tall as mountainous boulders with terrifying might. When the Ambrosio Arbor still stood, the Xianzhou people bred many fantastic creatures with their esoteric techniques. Malefic apes were one of the war beasts that walked alongside the army. Disciples of Sanctus Medicus Ballistarius. Weaknesses are physical, ice, and wind. A member of the Disciples of Sanctus Medicus, the secret organization that had lain hidden in the Xianzhou Luofu. They pursue cultivation using tools and merge with them. They long to revive the lost secrets of abundance, hoping to spur Xianzhou natives toward their next stage of evolution. The Ascended. Weaknesses are physical, ice, and lightning, and they are resistant to wind. The form that the disciples of Sanctus Medicus crave, a true appearance that casts off the burdens of humanity and has been reforged using the way of immortality. In ancient times, those who sought immortality received wisdom from the Ambrosial Arbor and called themselves Celestials. They lived without restraints and molded the flesh of themselves and others at will. They have long forgotten their original appearances after countless metamorphoses. Cloud Knight Lieutenant Yanjing. Weaknesses are lightning, wind, and imaginary. Resistant to ice, frozen, imprisonment, and entanglement. General Yingwan's retainer, a gifted swordsman who hasn't even come of age. Wraith Warden. Weakness, physical, ice, and wind. A somber warrior that accompanies the judges of the Ten Lords commissioned to execute missions. Adorned with the black and white mask that symbolizes the Netherworld envoy, they wield a guillotine blade, their strikes echoing the weighty and unyielding duty of the Ten Lords commission. Mara Struck Warden. Weaknesses, ice, lightning, and quantum. A Ten Lords Commission soldier that has fallen to Mara. As long as they are still mortals of flesh and blood, the people of Xianzhou will never be able to escape their fates. Aurumaton Spectral Envoy. Weaknesses are physical, lightning, and imaginary. A law enforcing Aurumaton engraved with the Ten Lords' martial scriptures and taking orders from the Ten Lords Commission. Living beings are susceptible to the corporeal and mental existence of the self, but gold and metal will never be swayed and will unwaveringly follow the Ten Lords' edicts. These Aurumaton law enforcers use their strength to subdue evils that have strayed from the natural order of life and bring them to the Netherworld to meet their sentence. Its authority is sometimes even greater than that of a judge. Cyrus. No weaknesses, control effect resistance. He summons creatures and you have to defeat them to actually deal damage to him. That's the whole shtick. That's why he has no weaknesses. A fragment of the great Heliobus Ignamar. Gather the numerous fragments of the Heliobus to recreate Ignamar's spirit. Sable Claw Wolf Trooper. Weaknesses are fire and imaginary. A Borisin soldier from the Sable Claw pack specializes in assassinating the target in silence. Eclipse Wolf Trooper. Weaknesses are physical and wind, infamous for their gluttonous urge to devour the flesh of their enemies. Howling Casket. Weakness, lightning, wind, and imaginary. A combat machine developed by the Intelligentsia Guild, utilizing Borisin biological tissues. These machines possess the tenacious vitality of long-life species, I was going to say specimens, and the slaughter algorithm evolved over countless ages. It looks a lot like a wolf, as you can see, since it is using Borisin biological tissues for it as well, most likely. If I recall correctly, this type of thing with using biological tissues with technology is forbidden inside the Xianzhou Luofu. Borisin Warhead Hulai. Weaknesses are physical, fire, and wind, and he's resistant to frozen, imprisonment, and entanglement. A Borisin leader who committed the 10 unpardonable sins, eternally imprisoned at the bottom of the shackling prison. Bearing the hatred of 7 centuries of bitter confinement, the Lord of Wolves challenges the entire Xianzhou Luofu upon breaking free from his cage, yet there seems to be another objective hidden behind his maddened actions. Shadow of Wei Zhao. As you can see, the character Wei Zhao that I'm using in my team, as you saw in the previous video, has this creature as her ultimate as well. Weaknesses are physical, fire, and quantum. She's resistant to control effects. Hu Lei, who used the Crimson Moon to escape death, has manifested in the form of Wei Zhao, standing opposite her as if in mirror. Next up is the Swarm. Juvenile Sting. Weaknesses are quantum and imaginary. The youngling of a true sting. Based on their growth stage, young true stings can be further divided into juvenile stings and lesser stings. Lesser Sting is the same text, but they're resistant to frozen, and their weaknesses are physical, fire, and imaginary. The youngling of a true sting. See, based on their growth stage, divided into juvenile and lesser. Swarm, the true sting. Oh, it's taking a while to load. Okay, Swarm, true sting. Weaknesses, ice, quantum, and imaginary. Mature, true sting. Sir Duroy, a member of the Intelligentsia Guild, explored the starry seas and authored the 30 volume of the Chronicles of Interdimensional Insects. The book provides detailed records of over a dozen confirmed species of Lepisma and countless subspecies spanning across the stars. Gnasting. Weaknesses are physical and ice, resistant to quantum. A subspecies of stings that underwent mutations during reproduction, adept at using quantum toxins in their mandibles to corrode away the bodies of their prey. Starcrusher Swarm King, Scaracabas, synthetic. Weaknesses are physical ice and quantum. Resistant to quantum? Physical ice and imaginary, they're resistant to quantum and entanglement. The replica of the emanator of propagation cultivated by Ruan Mei, briefly manifesting in the world in an incomplete form. Its original form is a giant lepisma that inherited the mandibles of the Imperator Insectorum. It can collect in its mouth parts the death ray that fragmented celestial bodies and make shattered stars incubators for procreating offspring. It was once one of the nightmares across multiple worlds during the Swarm disaster. Interastral Peace Corporation, or IPC. Grunt, field personnel. Weaknesses are fire and ice. An Interastral Peace Corporation grunt worker whose job mainly deals with shady business oversights. With a meager salary, the only lodging they can afford is a shared room in one of the IPC's Enterprise ships. They don't get paid enough. Grunt security personnel. Weaknesses are physical, fire, and ice. An IPC grunt worker whose job mainly involves maintaining order in locations ruled by the IPC. With a meager salary, the only lodging they can afford is a shared room, like the previous guy. Don't get paid enough. Senior staff team leader. Weaknesses are fire, ice, and imaginary. An IPC senior staff member with a minimal rank of project team leader. The mech they drive belongs to the IPC. If damaged, its repair fees have to be paid out of pocket. With a half-decent salary, they can at least afford to rent a one-bedroom apartment in one of the IPC's Enterprise ships. So, if you destroy the bot they're riding, you know, the robot, the suit, they have to pay for the repairs. Sounds a lot like Outer Worlds kind of deal, isn't it? Ten Stone Hearts, Aventurine of Stratagems. Weaknesses are physical ice and lightning, resistant to imaginary and control effects. A senior manager in the IPC Strategic Investment Department and one of the 10 Stone Hearts. Using his cornerstone, he obtained a share of the authority of an emanator of preservation. He throws his own body into the game as a die, ready to face death in order to walk away alive. Literally gambling his life away. I'm going to read the other ones in the next video, since if I do this one now, there won't be enough content for the next video. So I'll stop here and I'll read all the other parts. I'll finish the enemy creatures in the next one. So if you want to know when that one comes out, it should normally be on the Tuesday, 8 my time. I am in UK time +1. So if you like it, please leave a like. If you know anything else that I can read after I finished everything from Honkai, please put it in the comments. Any tips or anything that could provide more things to read for you guys is always welcome. I hope you guys have a nice evening, and I'll see you guys next time.